Mary Barnes is a Jackson native who has classroom and experience working in the community. Mary taught middle school art in Jackson Public Schools for 9 years prior to joining the Mississippi Museum of Art. Mary has a BS in elementary education and art from Mississippi State University and also was nominated for 2021 MAEA Museum Art Educator of the Year. And so now I will turn it over to Mary.
Hello, friends. Good morning. I'm glad you're all here. I'm going to begin sharing a presentation. One sec. All right, fantastic. Thumbs up if you can see it. Can we see it? Maybe it's still loading.
You're good.
I'm good. I think that's what you said. All right. So just another intro slide. I'll advance it. So first of all, welcome. Like she said, I am Mary Barnes. I'm the Director of School and Teen Programs at the Mississippi Museum of Art. And what I do in my work is I mainly work with teachers and students in getting them in these spaces and talking about and engaging with work. And doing art projects and the like, along with a million other things. But those are the things that bring me the most joy. So just to hear a little bit from you, type it in the chat. I would like to know what you are looking forward to. Why is my screen not working? Sorry, team. Is it still on the intro slide?
Mm-hmm.
How's that?
You're good.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right. So what are you looking forward to talking about during this session? Answer it in the chat if you don't mind. I know that this is your last session of the day. So maybe you're tired. Maybe you've stepped away. Maybe you're here. Yes, great, Caroline. Thank you. And you're going to hear all about it. Anybody else? What are you looking forward to talking about during the session? And I will ask you to engage throughout this conversation. Great, learning more about the Great Migration. I went to school with someone with that last name. All right, well, great. I think maybe you might continue entering those comments in the chat. Ooh, Harlem Renaissance. I'm here for all of it. Thanks, Candace. Oh, hey, Joyce. Good to see you again, or your name at least. Fantastic. Hopefully learning more about the topic so I can do a better job teaching it to my students. Yes. Well, an hour-long session is definitely not going to cover it all, but at least it will, I think, whet your appetite to figuring out ways that you can engage with learning about and engaging with and talking about the Great Migration a little bit more. So gathering resources for our teachers and students. Great. And again, we only have an hour together, but my email is at the end of this slide, and I'm sure it's gone out or can go out other ways. So any other resources you need beyond this, feel free to reach out. All right, thank y'all. Let's see, will my screen work? Hey, okay. So now that we kind of have an idea of where we're going with this conversation, we're going to take a poll, and I believe that a link will be inserted in the chat for a Mentimeter, which will populate answers on the screen. So let me know if y'all are having any issues with that, or if I need to drop that in the chat. Thank you. All right, let's see if we can look at them as they pop up. Share. Oh. One sec. I'm gonna stop share and then share a new screen. Maybe tech. All right, so hopefully you can see some of these answers populating and maybe you can see them on your screen otherwise. But the question posed was, what comes to mind when you hear the Great Migration? I see some incredible comments, people seeking better opportunities. Yes, a lot of people moving for various reasons. Movement of Black people from the South to the North. The movement from the South to more northern industrial cities. Yes, that was a big part of it. Migration of African Americans from Mississippi to Chicago, among other places. Movement of Black people out of the South and into more urban areas in the North. Movement, great. Simple as that. And that is one of the first words featured in our upcoming exhibition. Great, thank you. And feel free to continue adding those to the chat. I don't know. Yeah, there should be some more populating. Let's see. Thank you. Great. So our brains are kind of heading in the right direction. And I'm going to share with you. That was a question that we kind of sent out on a postcard or had available at our front desk. I hope y'all can see my screen again, back to the PowerPoint. And we've been kind of gathering information to see what the community already knows or wants to know or kind of has in mind. And we've had a wide range of responses, but very similar to the responses added to the Mentimeter. So some of the responses we've received from members of the community that visit the museum, Black Americans as refugees from state-sponsored racial terror. Conversely, the start of something beautiful, for example, jazz, hip hop, many other Black cultural contributions. The movement of Blacks from the South to the North, Midwest, and West to escape poor living conditions and bad overall treatment and oppression. And one person said, more specifically, my grandmother moving from Louisville, Mississippi to the west side of Chicago. It means I have an affinity for the countryside, nature, slow living, community, seeing my aunts, uncles, and cousins every day. It means home transported, but not transformed. And that one kind of sticks in my mind. So let's get to kind of unpacking how the Great Migration as a major topic in history, how artists depict their either relationship or experience in the Great Migration. So in just a second, we're going to do something called close looking. So first, I'm going to give you a little bit of information about the artists that we're going to be exploring the work of. This is Ramir Bearden, who was born 1911 to 1988, so during the time of the Great Migration, and was an African-American artist, author, and songwriter. He worked with many types of media, including cartoons, oils, and collages. Born in Charlotte, North Carolina, Bearden grew up in New York City and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and eventually graduated from New York University in 1935. Bearden was born in Charlotte, North Carolina, and his family moved with him to New York City when he was a toddler as part of the Great Migration. And Ramir Bearden is quoted as saying about his work, "It is not my aim to paint the Negro in America in terms of propaganda, but the life of my people as I know it, passionately and dispassionately as brutal. My intention is to reveal through pictorial complexities the life I know." So when we begin, when I put the image of the work that we're going to be looking at, this is how we engage with artwork on tours here at the museum. So we do a technique called close looking. And this is the same kind of technique for leading conversation in the galleries that we use, not only with school groups, but also adult groups and any other visitor that may enter and want kind of a guided conversation. So first, I will ask you to spend a few moments letting your eye wander through the work of art, looking closely from corner to corner at anything that catches your eye or draws you back in. and spend a moment reflecting on your thoughts and reactions to the work. And then we're going to share and discuss as a group. So I'm going to give you a few minutes at first, or moments really at first. And then I'm going to pose some questions, just kind of gauging what you see, what you feel, what your reactions are, what you're curious about. You're welcome to unmute and contribute. You're also welcome to enter your comments in the chat. Of course, if you were doing this live and in person in the galleries of the museum, everyone would be kind of talking and contributing. So whatever you're more comfortable with in this virtual world, if you want to unmute and chat, or if you want to type and chat. And be sure that we're listening to others' perspectives. We have all lived different lives and have a different lived experience. So the filter with which we see the world and maybe experience art is very different from the next person. So please contribute what you see and have to say, but also be mindful and respectful to listen to other people's perspectives. And there really are no wrong answers here. So please feel comfortable contributing. All right. The work that we're going to be spending a little bit of time with is Romare Bearden's The Train. And this is a color etching, so a collage turned into a print of sorts. And this is currently on view in our new Symphony of Time exhibition. So what I want you to do for the next few moments is letting your eye wander corner to corner across, see what your eye or your gaze goes back to. So I'm going to not talk so that you have a moment to look.
Is there a way we can zoom? I mean, like zoom in on the picture?
I don't know. I did do a slide of close-ups, but I don't know. Does that make it any better?
It seems like it's still kind of just the same
Okay.
size,
And
just
even-
in smaller pictures.
Gotcha. And seeing this in person, it is kind of hard to read some of the smaller details. So sorry, I can't zoom. I don't think I can. All right. And continue looking, of course, as I pose some questions, but again, feel free to unmute or enter your comments in the chat. So just first, and a very basic question to start with is, what do you see or recognize? And I would love to hear your observations. So, or hear or read. So I know that we all see things that we recognize. Syrup, yes. Yeah.
The woman in the center with the red, I don't know if that was meant to be hair or a headscarf, reminds me of the Vermeer girl with the pearl earring.
Yes. Yeah.
So that reference is, I wouldn't say jarring, but definitely present, where you're taking a Dutch master and, you know, bringing it to Chicago, really.
Yeah. And when you mention the Vermeer, and are you also noticing this part dangling from the ear?
Yes, that was the first thing I noticed. And then I was like, oh yeah, with the headscarf too, that's there too.
And thank you. I see comments, lots of color, sad and thoughtful eyes. The eyes are all on the viewer. Yes, all of the eyes, including these kind of peeking through. And can you see my cursor as I move it around? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, well, I'm
Yes, we
circling.
can.
Okay, great, fantastic. So yes, all of the eyes that you see are locked in on the viewer. A patchwork quilt. All right. So Angelia or Miss Ross, when you see this patchwork quilt, can you tell me more about how and where you see a patchwork quilt? And also someone mentioned a red knife. Is this what you're referring to down here? Does anybody read that as something other than a red knife? There are bright colors juxtaposed. Oh, go ahead. Or not. You'll come back. All right. There are bright colors juxtaposed with dark somber colors. Yes, very much so. I see 5 faces of African American at different ages. None look happy. I see an empty bowl with cane syrup on the table. Everything is pieced like a puzzle. Yes, Angela. Okay, so everything, you kind of see these vertical intersections throughout that kind of mimic a patchwork quilt. Yes, lipstick. Okay, so maybe we see that as lipstick. I think that might be the comment you're making. To be honest, the knife looked like lipstick. Okay, great. Yeah. So, and I've heard that in conversations in the gallery before too. There's always that discussion between knife and lipstick. And there have been other comments. I see a family on a train traveling from south to north. They look contemplative as they wonder about what lies ahead on the journey and what to expect at their destination. Yes, yeah. So there's a lot happening in their eyes, more than just sadness, more than just, you know, there's a lot happening in these faces. And let's look at how these faces are formed. We see that this face is probably the most intact face, and then the other ones are kind of pieced together in fragmented images, kind of a collage form, where you are taking scraps of images pieced together. Yes. The object that looks like a knife appears to be a gadget on a picnic basket. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we see this like basket weave texture with this, and that maybe that handle looks like it's kind of holding it attached to a picnic basket. Okay. The handle of a basket. Eyes are bold and longing, hands holding a child, question mark. So I think you're referring to these 2 figures over here. We have these arms kind of wrapped kind of underneath the smaller figure's arm, which yeah, of course, it's natural for us to read that as, you know, it may be an older, more mature figure and this smaller childlike figure kind of holding it tightly. Those hands are tightly held around the waist of that smaller figure. The eyes stand out, bringing with them tokens of home. The birds are flying opposite of the direction of the train, south perhaps. Oh, Stephanie. All right, so you're mentioning these birds, okay, and it looks like they're going this direction, okay, but what is in there to tell us that they're going opposite of the train's direction? That's a big question. And I love that you said south perhaps, because yeah, maybe they're headed back south to the warmth, to you know, think about how birds were living. It was a very different experience for them. They were not facing the same things that these figures were probably facing. All right. Who said this? Bringing with them tokens of home. So when we see these tokens of home, how many tokens are they bringing? Are they, you know, have they grabbed key elements for survival, or objects that are symbolic to them or meaningful, or, you know, can have worth? Winter as a metaphor. Yes, I think the pieces of pics relate to pieces of many lives coming together. Ooh, ooh, Robin. Yes. Okay. So this patchwork or pieced together fragmented image may be representing the pieces of many lives coming together. So maybe more than just the lives of the figures that we see directly in front of us. I think that is a train in the background. Yes. Ooh, come on, cursor. Okay, so up here, and it, yes, looks like it's heading to the left, and they look like they're heading that way. Yes. Maybe they are not bringing their whole selves, great, with them on the train ride. They are broken and not their whole selves because of leaving. Yeah, so maybe that's one of the reasons they are fragmented images, because they are not whole. And they are pieced together many emotions. Or yes, so Angelia sees this watermelon slice at the bottom. I think my cursor's over there. What colors are we seeing? Deciding who they want to be with new opportunities in the future, leaving behind the broken pieces, sky, blood, earth. So why have this syrup? And do we think there's actually syrup in this can? Or is it being repurposed to carry other things? And we recognize watermelon. The colors we see, oh, the colors are sky, blood, and earth. Joyce says blue, green, yellow, and orange, red. Yes, so a very basic palette of pretty bold colors mixed with these darker, more neutral browns and blacks and tans and grays. Who do we think these figures are? Women? They do look to be a feminine figure, all females, yes. Yes, that is a statement in itself. Can somebody type or say more to expand on why this is only females? And I'm counting 4. I don't know if anybody sees anything different. Or why is it important that it's all females? Face on the left has a finger on his or her chin, as in deep thought. Yes. So kind of right here, like they're contemplating. Oh, and I said 4 figures. There are 5 that I'm seeing. But who do we think they are? We recognize that some appear to be female, some may be, maybe more masculine. But if we are reading this as all female, what does that tell us about this setting, this story, this moment?
Well, women are generally seen as, like kind of the Mother Earth figure, maybe the matriarchs of the community. They're the glue that holds together a community. They are the ones who replenish the community through birth. And I mean, they're the ones that hold the ideals of the community in their very bodies rather than even just inside their minds.
Mhm. Thank you for that. Yes. And why do we think that the artist would show? I mean, I think you've said it in a very clear way why it could show just these women traveling and what they hold and what they possess. Someone said they are the representation of many different people who are trying to make a better life for themselves or their family, all ages and genders. Okay, so we're seeing more than just female. They have only the essential needs themselves, headscarves, scarves, food bits that they could gather. The colors represent Africa, red, green, and black. Many of the Black men may have traveled prior. Yes. Okay. So some things that we know about the Great Migration is that, oftentimes, the male of the household would maybe travel ahead and try to be established somewhere and send back money for the family to come. And that's just, that's one way that it worked. But there were many different complex situations. So yes, maybe if there was a male in their household, maybe not. Maybe they had gone ahead. Primary colors, primary needs, family, food. As they are gathered around the picnic basket, the empty bowl almost begs to be filled. You're very poetic, Stephanie. Do the women have the task of following the men already at the destination? That is my question. It is not clearly stated about this work that that's the case. Women are the glue for families, but also with the most to lose, absolutely, in life, and hold the fear of change. Yeah. So with the bit of introduction information that I sprinkled in about Ramir Bearden, the artist, and knowing that his family relocated from North Carolina to Brooklyn or to New York City when he was a toddler, in a way, in his trains, snakes, and guitars series, he has a lot of images of trains or figures on trains. And this is one of those. And it is often, there are younger figures. So maybe acknowledging, and it's not clearly stated about this work, but we can maybe put some pieces together and think about how this could also represent a fragmented memory. So when we recall things, we remember certain parts of memories. And so maybe in his representation of his memory of migrating with his family as a toddler, he has these fragmented memories and images, and we're seeing them in fragmented images. The largest, most penetrating eye seems to be a boy's, the only boy peeking behind the women. So we're saying this one maybe back here in the blue, from behind the wall of women. The wall of women. In other cases, the Black male had been murdered. Yes, that is definitely a part of that history in that time. Not able to come at the time. Yes. Or maybe they have lost the father, husband, protector, and are fleeing. Yes, definitely part of that history. I see the current generation taking the future generation out of pain and uncertainty, possibly into a better life and future. It is a beautiful, hopeful way of seeing this. And yeah, very much could be the case. And it is not, again, it is not clearly stated, but part of this close looking process is to kind of engage and pull out how your eyes are reading this, how you see this. And I think a lot of us are observing, or from what I'm reading, are observing the strength of these women or female figures with potentially a male form in there, which again is not clearly declared anywhere by the artist who these figures are. He does mention that his train series depict his memories of the Great Migration, but also stories told to him about other families' migrations.
And there's absolutely no luxury in this photo. No luxury. It's all very much, I mean, I would probably call it like, it reminds me of those broken down train cars with all the graffiti on them, like they're not, this isn't something where we're all happy to be in this little place together. We're like, we have to do this. This is what we have to do for our very, soul survival.
Survival, yeah. I am really glad that you brought that out, because if we look at the setting, yes, we're all on track with thinking this is train, but now talking more directly and pointedly about, this is not an Amtrak coach car. This is not, they're not in comfortable seats. They are not in an organized seated fashion. They're kind of crammed into this, these bits and pieces of wood with, these to me read as openings where you can kind of look out. Maybe they were the big sliding doors on the side of a cargo, car, or, but yeah, definitely not necessarily made for transporting humans, people. Train is a method of escape. Some of women's images looking to be in an older, dressed, in a slave fashion, while some faces are younger. Yes. Strength and perseverance in the midst of uncertainty. Yes. So, I feel like it's we led in with kind of asking questions about the Great Migration and seeing this image and linking it to the Great Migration and knowing that this artist, in fact, was part of the Great Migration. Um, you know, we know how this image and this depiction is representation of an artist's memory of the Great Migration and its direct impact on his family and his experience in that, but also kind of the addition or representation of stories that he also was told and experienced from family members and neighbors and people in his community and his world that talked about their Great Migration experience. So to kind of close this session of looking closely at this work, will you add in the chat or say out loud where your eye gravitates back to? Or does it? Does your eye continue to wander? Or where does it rest? The girl in the middle. Yes.
My eyes gravitate to the girl in the middle of the screen.
Yes.
Yeah, so much so. I know she's young, and so she's representing the future of this family. But that's who my eyes, I guess it's because of the color of her headscarf.
Yes.
But also she's the one who looks like she's more put together than the mother or the grandmother.
Mhm.
Right. So there's the hope. What I see is that the hope of the family centers around her.
Thank you for sharing that. That is, it does look like she is in the center because she is being protected and cared for and made sure that this hope of the future of this family gets safely north. The girl in the middle, the man on the left, the baby being held. Yes. Young girl in the middle, definitely the hope for the future. Thank y'all for saying these things. Girl's face in the middle with red hair or covering. She has the only complete set of eyes. Yes, that is one continuous image, unlike the others you see.
The girl in the middle, and I gravitate. I feel like the boy or the child who has the one eye. I don't
Yeah.
know why, but that the all-knowing eye, right? That one it leaves the canvas and pokes at the viewer to me. It doesn't, it's absolutely straight on. Whereas the young girl who looks a little bit more despondent, but all three of those eyes align. The young girl with the complete set of eyes, and the youth behind her. But her right eye is a little bit off, so
Yeah.
it doesn't penetrate like the two together.
Uh-huh.
And I think those two both of those look like like the viewer is responsible, like needs to be responsive, I guess. It's a challenge. It's almost like they're challenging the viewer,
Mhm.
the younger of the people in the composition.
Yes.
And I like how the girl's hands are kind of like a young child does when they're waiting for judgment, right?
Yeah. Ooh.
When they're waiting for someone to tell them what they need to do or not do.
Or like
And that
she's waiting for an explanation. Almost.
explanation or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Waiting for the next step. But those three eyes, particularly the one cast in the blue, to me.
Yes.
Yeah. The
And
one in the yeah, they all line up.
Yeah, they all really do. But yeah, that one
Mhm.
peering through as the single eye. Sure. Yeah. It does draw you in for sure. And it's the only one that's kind of not seemingly on the same plane as the other four. It is the one tucked behind. So it's a little bit more mysterious.
There's wonder in the mother. There's worry in the grandmother.
Yeah.
And then, And then the middle three are questioning. Not, I don't even know. It's not even questioning. It's like a whole bunch of emotions. Expectation, maybe, too. Expecting.
Mm. Mhm. Let's see, I see the figure with the green scarf has a face that is worn, yes. Experienced and hopeful that life would be better in a new place. Yeah, this figure. The girl in the middle and the boy behind, they both look ahead with hope. Perhaps they have a vision knowing what was left behind. Great. I think the other faces that have different eyes, maybe each eye represents a different ancestor or family member. Wow. Looking toward the strength of the girl in the middle, her face looks more focused and strong. Yes. Yes. Thank you for these responses. Wow. Well, now that you've had just a taste of what close looking is like at the museum, with, various works, discussing and featuring the Great Migration, but other migrations and movements of people. We're gonna continue and talk about why this matters and why we're talking about it. So Romer Bearden said trains could take you away and could also bring you to where you were. And in the little towns, it's the Black people who live near the trains. Now, why are we talking about the Great Migration and artists' depictions of it? Because opening in April of 2021, so in just a few months, we're going to have a major exhibition called A Movement in Every Direction, Legacies of the Great Migration, that will take up the entire back half of the museum. And just a little bit more. So these next few slides are a little text heavy, but I feel like it paints the picture of kind of the idea that's been building behind this exhibition, and how not only is it cool, as an art exhibition, but how major and meaningful it is to see the responses of artists, but also how they've been given a prompt and how they've made their connections to the South. So on April 9th, the Mississippi Museum of Art will open A Movement in Every Direction, Legacies of the Great Migration, which explores the profound impact of the Great Migration on the social and cultural life of the United States from historical and personal perspectives. Co-organized with the Baltimore Museum of Art, this exhibition features newly commissioned works across media by 12 acclaimed Black artists, including all contemporary artists who have been commissioned to create new works responding to their family's connection with the Great Migration. Artists are listed there. They're also on our website. I won't read them all. Through the artist's distinct and dynamic installations, A Movement in Every Direction reveals anew the spectrum of contexts that shaped the Great Migration and explores the ways in which it continues to reverberate today in both intimate and communal experiences. The exhibition will open at MMA through September 11th, 2022, and then we'll travel to the Baltimore Museum of Art. A Movement in Every Direction will be accompanied by a 2-volume publication that includes commissioned essays by Kiese Lehman, Jessica Lynn, Sharifa Rhodes Pitts, and Dr. Willie Wright. There will also be available in the gallery's volume 3 of this collection that is free for all visitors. That includes artist statements and also educational resources and family guide type materials, and that is free for any and all visitors. The Great Migration saw more than 6 million African Americans leave the South for destinations across the United States at the start of the 20th century and well into the 1970s. This incredible movement of people transformed nearly every aspect of Black life in both rural towns and urban metropolises, and spurred an already flourishing Black culture. A Movement in Every Direction provides a platform for the featured artists to explore, reflect on, and capture their own relationships with this singular historic happening, both personally and artistically. Brought together by co-curators Ryan Dennis, our chief curator and artistic director for CAPE, as well as Jessica Bell Brown from Baltimore Museum of Art. The works offer an insightful rumination on the complexity of the Great Migration as a narrative that is still unfolding. We asked this group of talented artists to join us on this journey over a year ago during the pandemic to investigate their connections to the South, as each project has developed over the last year, informed by research, explorations, and dialogue. It has become clear that this exhibition will primarily underscore reflections on family. It will posit Great Migration as both a historical and political consequence, but also as a choice for reclaiming one's agency. The works examine individual and familial stories of perseverance, self-determination, and self-reliance through a variety of expressions. The development, strength, and resilience of community also emerged in the research and creation of individual works as an important thread within the exhibition. Personal and familial experiences are central to the entire exhibition. And for several artists, this engagement led to the creation of particularly intimate works, including an immersive video installation and even a Pepper's Ghost, which is very exciting, exploring the disappearance and presumed death of Carrie Mae Weems's paternal grandfather, as well as a large-scale sculptural installation by Theaster Gates replicating a double-wide trailer examining the interplay between personal and the communal. Through this incredible spectrum of works, we hope viewers will experience a movement in every direction as a meditation on ancestry, place, and possibility. This is an image of the 12 artists that will be featured, and each artist has created at least one to two works, and a lot of them are on a large scale. And some of them aren't even complete, which is kind of a stressful but also magical thing, because they're still learning so much in their exploration of archives and their travels to visit family members to gain more information. So here we are, kind of coming to the end. Why is this important for you and your students? So even though it has had a major impact on the life and culture in this country, the Great Migration is a topic not heavily covered by the college and career readiness standards for the state of Mississippi. And, then I say, want to know more about how you can unpack the lasting and profound influence of the Great Migration in your classroom? Well, so not only will this exhibition be free for school groups every Tuesday and Thursday to come, I mean, and there's so much text and so many resources that will go along with this, but also our museum, the Mississippi Museum of Art, is partnering with MDAH and Facing History and Ourselves to offer a week-long Summer Teacher Institute this summer, July 18th through 22nd, 2022. And during this week-long institute, teachers will mirror the artist's process of being prompted to explore their family's connections to the South and any effect the Great Migration had on them or had on the places and communities they live. Teachers will conduct archival research to explore the Great Migration, particularly ideas about public memory, self-determination, and resilience. The Institute will introduce teachers to the historical context surrounding the Great Migration, and using this research and exploration throughout the week, teachers will work to create thematic units to use in their classrooms. Together, teachers will explore the exhibition, A Movement in Every Direction, Legacies of the Great Migration at our museum, the Mississippi Museum of Art, but teachers will also have the chance to experience the Negro Motorist Green Book, which is on display at the two Mississippi museums. And my friend Shira, who has been a key player and major brain force in planning this Summer Institute, is going to tell you a little bit more.
So we are very excited about this. So anybody who applies for this, we have about 20 teachers total that will be able to attend, kind of made up of both Mississippi teachers as well as out-of-state teachers. And so those out-of-state teachers, the ones that will be prioritized will be folks applying from California, Maryland, New York, Illinois, Michigan, which are other places that this exhibit will be, definitely or possibly traveling to. And so, but for those who apply and are accepted, you'll be able to kind of do a variety of things throughout the week. We'll have workshops led by staff at both the Art Museum and the two Mississippi museums. And we'll also get to spend some time in the archives, so you guys can do that research, get to do, create some sources and some materials that you can use and teachers around the country can use. And you will get a stipend for that, both in-state and out-of-state will get a stipend for that week. And we will make sure you have lodging and lunches covered and, you know, money that you can use for the other things in the meantime. There will also be some evening events going on at the museums that week. And so you'll have other things to attend and chat and kind of meet these teachers from both across the state and the country. So we're very excited. I know we are going to drop, Stephanie, if you'll throw the save the date into the chat. We have a save the date that you can kind of keep with you for now. And then we will have the application live in the middle of July. I mean, middle of January. Sorry, wrong month, that starts with a J. So be on the lookout for then. Those of you who are, all of you guys will be on our listserv anyways, and so we will send out when the application is live, but you should be able to find out more about the Institute in mid-January from either the Art Museum or the MDH website, and those will both link you to an application to apply. But we're excited. We're very excited for this group that will get to come and kind of explore together for a week over the summer.
Yes, thank you, Shira. Yes, the excitement is real. It is palpable. And I know that in this, you know, so far brief little time that we've had together, I see that there's curiosity, that there is a lot of emotion behind exploring this topic. And we just hit like this much of all that we could have talked about. So if you want any more information, not only about the Summer Institute, or, you know, if you want information about things that you would like to see partnered with this exhibition, or if you want more information about the exhibition and what that's going to look like and what other public events and what opening events there are going to be, there's my email. Thank you, Shira. In the chat, it's also on the screen right now. So please don't hesitate to reach out. This has been a project brewing for the last 3 years or more. So we're very excited and happy to talk about it. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Mary, for presenting and being with us today, and really looking forward to the Teacher Institute. Y'all, please keep an eye out for that application, because that's going to be a great opportunity next summer. We've really tried to build something great there. Shira and Mary have been doing phenomenal work on that, and it's going to be great to see that come to fruition and for some of y'all to join us in what will be a really fun week.